So we're on Deer Isle. There's deer in the yard all the time.
숯불품은 이 작은 섬에 시간을 뛰어넘은 듯 옛 모습을 그대로 간직한 집이 있습니다.
That it drew from 16th and 17th century English architecture a lot. And I like that feeling of being in a pre-industrial setting where things have been done by hand.
자연과 가까웠던 그 시절의 건축 방식에 푹 빠진 한 남자의 작품입니다.
Not be part of a neighborhood, but be a unique experience, and for it to be like going through some kind of portal. I think that a lot of people have perceived that portal as going back in time. I perceive the portal as going forward in time.
소금기 머금은 바람을 맞으며 길고 비좁은 다리를 건너 미국의 가장 북동쪽 뉴잉글랜드에서도 북쪽 끝에 있는 메인주의 작은 섬마을로 향합니다. 섬에 들어선 후에도 울창하게 나무가 우거진 길고 긴 도로를 달려야 합니다. 거친 비포장 도로에 접어들면 그제야 표지판이 나오죠. 목적지를 제대로 찾아가고 있다는 유일한 증거입니다. 도시와는 완벽히 다른 삶의 방식으로 살아가는 또 누구나 살아볼 수 있는 특별한 공간. 디어 아일에 자리 잡은 17세기풍의 목조 주택입니다. 이곳을 직접 만든 한 남자를 만나보죠.
Good morning.
How you feeling today?
We're doing good. How are you?
Feeling great.
Wow, this is wonderful.
Nice to see you.
Good, yes. So, tell us what you're doing this morning.
I'm just mowing around the edge of the garden here, which will help keep the weeds out of the fence line and make it for easier maintenance through the season.
You have lots of stuff here.
Yeah, maybe a little too much. But I enjoy working outside and taking care of it all, so it's somewhere between pleasure and hobby and work.
먹거리를 책임지는 텃밭입니다. 다양한 채소들을 심었는데 겨울까지 거뜬히 날 수 있을 정도입니다.
Looks like someone from horror movies or one of those sort.
This is a late 19th century American style scythe. They used to make blades like this here in Maine. This one's a brush scythe. It's good for cutting blackberries and coarse stuff. So it looks like it might fit the role, but actually
텃밭에서 베어내는 잡초들은 줄기가 억세, 정원의 잔디보단 쉽게 날을 무디게 만듭니다. 데니스는 숫돌로 항상 나를 날카롭게 유지합니다.
This is hard work with a dull blade, but very effortless with a sharp blade. So many people think that this is very difficult work. Maybe they've tried it with a dull blade or they didn't know how to move their bodies. This is a stupid thing that stupid people did in the past and not understand their sharpness for understanding tools and their advantages that they had that we might have forgotten now.
문명과 조금 떨어져 살아가다 보면 몸이 부지런해집니다. 무딘 날처럼 있다가는 버틸 수 없기 때문입니다.
Keep out the deer.
Deer.
Yeah. So we're on Deer Isle. There's deer in the yard all the time. We have a lot of good stuff for them to eat outside of the garden and a little fence, so they stay out.
원래 사슴들이 주인인 메인주의 작은 섬. 데니스는 17년 전 이곳에 왔습니다. (2만) 평의 대지를 사들여 오랜 시간 꿈꾸던 집을 지었습니다. 당시 데니스는 유능한 석공이었지만 건축에 대해서는 아무것도 몰랐습니다. 단지 자재와 작업 방식이 소박하면서도 오랜 세월을 견뎌낼 수 있기를 바랐습니다. 집은 숲에서 구한 가문비나무로 지어졌는데요. 수백 년간 거친 숲에서 살아남은 것들이죠.
In this area, historically, the foundations were rock holes underneath the building. It's usually just made out of rocks, either from the yard where the farm's been being cleaned up, or we have quarries around here and the ability to split granite into nice blocks, and is really very typical of the area up until World War II and the coming of cement here.
건물에는 페인트 칠을 하지 않았고 쇠로 된 못을 거의 사용하지 않은 것도 특징입니다. 약간의 장식을 한 정도죠.
All right, here we are in the house, and what you're looking at is representative of a late 17th century New England house.
부엌은 손님들이 편하게 사용할 수 있도록 개방된 구조입니다. 내부에 사용된 자재들도 역시 직접 손으로 자르고 닦아 하나하나 다듬어낸 것들이죠.
It was very typical in early American and English work and probably everywhere else to not leave square corners. It's nicer to be around, not sharp corners. Was the law because it doesn't catch fire as good if it doesn't have corners. Really, when it comes down to it, the reason to work in the 17th century style was because the maximum amount of using local materials to build was going to be the rule rather than the exception. We don't really have completely handmade buildings in New England, but this was the closest I could come to.
호스텔로도 운영하는 이곳에는 직원도 한 명 있습니다. 데니스와는 10여 년 전 조지아의 시골에서 자원봉사를 하면서 만났는데요. 소식을 듣고는 찾아와서 돕기 시작했습니다.
Tonight I think we'll have 12 people for dinner. So I'll try to make there be enough food for everyone and also enough variety that there's a few different choices if people like one thing but like something else a little less.
데니스가 추구하는 삶의 방식을 누구보다 잘 아는 그녀입니다. 식재료는 대부분 이곳 텃밭에서 얻은 것들인데요. 건강한 방식으로 충분한 시간을 들여 직접 만드는 게 원칙입니다. 숲을 자유롭게 즐기던 손님들은 저녁 6시 반이면 함께 모여 식사를 합니다. 데니스나 오로라가 준비한 것들이 대부분이지만 손님들이 가져온 음식을 나눠 먹기도 하는데요. 도시에서 온 손님들에게는 경험하기 어려운 시간입니다.
It looks like it for sure.
모닥불 또한 빠질 수 없는 경험이 되겠죠. 도시 문명과 단절된 일상. 소박한 한 끼 식사를 나누는 시간도 새로운 경험입니다.
Feels like from another time or from maybe a story, everything happening slower, everything happening in accordance to nature's way. So I think that's what has drawn me back here, is slowing down and enjoying and diving into different practices that maybe aren't necessarily the most efficient, but they feel like long-lasting. Like they're going to build long-lasting relationships and long-lasting structures. Yes.
2층은 호스텔로 운영하는 시기에는 손님들의 숙소입니다. 근처에서 가장 흔하게 자라는 가문비나무로 만들었는데 무엇보다 숲을 가까이 느낄 수 있도록 했습니다. 작은 공간이지만 3층도 있습니다. 17세기 건물에서 다락방은 하녀가 사용한 공간이었는데요. 손님이 많은 여름에 일을 돕는 인턴 직원의 숙소로 사용되고 있습니다.
Before I was doing this, I actually went to college for television production, which was fun, but I just really wanted to live in the countryside and I really wanted to do my own thing. Well, when I was in school, it seemed like the options were to do what my roommates and college mates did, to get work in the city and go buy a house and stuff. I've been just having fun for 5 years. Like, I don't want to do that. What am I going to do? I had an idea, but my family and my friends didn't have the same idea. So it was lonely.
데니스는 자신의 집을 짓기 위해 석공 기술을 배웠습니다. 결국 본인의 뜻대로 도시를 떠나 작은 섬 디어아일에서의 삶을 선택한 겁니다. 목수인 아버지와 함께 일했고 1999년부터 숲속의 집을 천천히 지어나가기 시작했습니다.
I felt like carpentry was in my blood, you know. Dad was, his father was, his father was. And my mother and both sets of grandparents were really good gardeners, so I learned those things from them. So many of the elements that I have here, I was already beginning at it 9 or 10 years old.
설계도도 제대로 만들지 못했던 데니스는 이제 옛 건축 방식에 대해서는 누구나 인정하는 전문가가 됐습니다.
Here we have an article I've written about log building with the Dalarna corner notch. This is about some Swedish joinery that's been used for 500 years.
지하는 데니스가 가장 애정을 갖는 공간입니다. 바로 저장고인데요. 디어아일의 풍부한 화강암으로 지은 겁니다. 지하 저장고 덕분에 냉장 시설 없이 텃밭에서 난 채소들을 보관하고 1년 내내 활용할 수 있게 됐습니다.
Here's something that is kept in the cellar. This is a sauerkraut. Not as good as your Korean kimchi, but it's not bad stuff either. And this is something that we would keep in the cellar.
Similar to Korean style.
I bet so, yeah. When we make our little American style kimchi, that's what we use is the.
제법 그럴듯하죠? 이른 아침 오로라가 거실 난로에 불을 떼고 있습니다. 지금은 한여름인데 말이죠. 무슨 일일까요?
Well, it's cold. I'm cold. I'm from Florida. So Maine is much colder for much longer now. And yeah, we try to keep it nice in the mornings and the evenings so that it's a pleasant place to hang out and feels warm and homey. By the afternoon it will warm up, but in the evening it gets can do.
바닷가라 그런지 여름에도 저녁부터 이른 아침까지는 습기를 머금은 추위가 있답니다. 그럼에도 불구하고 오로라가 이 집에서 인생의 중요한 시기를 보내는 이유가 있습니다. 바로 데니스죠.
Dennis is a visionary person. He really created something incredible. He made something the hard way. And not just out of habit or out of ease of materials or whatever, but really because he chose that lifestyle for himself because he believed in it and really has a strong philosophy behind.
숲속집에 손님이 찾아오는 시기엔 할 일이 정말 많습니다. 조수가 밀려올 시간이 되면 데니스가 장비를 챙기죠.
We're getting ready to go up to the shore. We'll get the seaweed in these boxes and pick it up with a fork and rubber boots.
울창한 숲을 가로질러 한참을 달리다 보면 모래사장과 갯벌, 푸른 바다가 펼쳐지는데요. 데니스에게는 또 다른 삶의 현장입니다. 해변에 도착하자 데니스가 무척 바빠집니다.
This one's called bladderwrack, and it's got this aloe stuff inside. And it is really like aloe. It will take sunburn away. So that's very nice when you're out boating.
해초는 파도에 밀려온 것들로 가져갑니다. 살아있는 것들은 주인이 따로 있거든요.
Yeah.
며칠 동안 햇볕에 수분이 빠진 것들을 가져가는 거죠.
This will be mulch for the garden. It will mulch the garden, it will hold the moisture in, and it will provide nutrients, all three.
뜻밖의 용도네요. 이것들을 전부 밭으로 옮겨야 한다니 만만한 작업이 아닙니다.
It's a nice job with 3 people, really.
Yeah, 3 is good, 2 is doable, 1 is not.
Yeah, one's tiring.
오로라는 바다에 나온 김에 해당화도 땁니다.
The petals from the beach rose have a really distinct and summery smell. And we just collect the petals. They kind of bloom all summer, so you can just keep picking them and picking them. They keep blooming. And Dennis will dry them in the attic, and that can go into teas. Also, the fresh petals, some people put them into honey, so local made honey, and the petals sit in there and kind of infuse the honey with the smell of the rose.
데니스는 갯벌의 어부가 됩니다. 조개를 캐려는 건데요.
This one is called a soft shell clam, or here in Maine we call it a steamer. Cook it just light, just so it's just about cooked through, and then it's tender and delicious.
다른 생각 없이 오로지 조개 구멍을 찾고 뻘을 파내는 데만 집중합니다.
I think the way a lot of people would like to experience life, were maybe a little bit more disconnected than we naturally should be. So it's good to have at least a foot in the dirt somewhere.
우럭조개는 데니스가 가장 좋아하는 겁니다. 그만의 먹는 방식이 따로 있는데요. 바로 녹인 버터에 찍어 먹는 거죠.
Oh my God, that was good.
The guys that dig clams make distinctions between the ones that come out of the mud and the ones that come out of where it's gravelly mud. So if you've got mud clams, to them that's a superior product because you'll never get the gravel when you eat it.
다른 음식이나 음료 한 잔 곁들이지 않고 조개만 계속해서 먹고 또 먹는데 세상 행복해 보입니다.
Well, we're wrapping up. I'm eating. It's been fantastic. What's not to smile about?
일이 끝났다고 하더니 전혀 아니었습니다. 바다에서 가져온 해초를 텃밭에 덮어줘야 하는데요. 자주 하는 작업은 아니고 한 계절에 한 번 정도 된답니다. 해초를 텃밭에 활용하는 건 다른 바닷가 마을의 농부들에게 아이디어를 얻은 겁니다.
But the seaweed has just about everything in it, and it balances the soil back out. So in this case, we're mulching with the seaweed. It's got the nutrients. It will get absorbed by worms coming up and eating it and pulling it in. And I think in the process, the nitrogen goes up, perhaps. Good that way. It's got everything you need to feed the soil.
해초를 덮고 자란 건강한 채소들이네요.
So right now with that single clove has expanded into this, but it will get about that big from here.
사실 이 텃밭은 데니스의 전 아내가 가꾼 것입니다. 데니스가 호스텔을 짓는 동안 그녀가 맡은 일이었는데요. 당시엔 완벽한 분업이었습니다.
It's hard to express right now because it was much more complete when I was married. Something we haven't touched on, like the homesteading is not really a solo activity. So there's a lot of differences now between how it was and how it is.
집을 짓기 시작할 때부터 함께했던 아내와 헤어진 지금, 데니스는 새로운 인생에 적응하는 방법을 익히는 중입니다. 드디어 일을 마무리한 데니스. 어디론가 바쁘게 걸어가는데요. 뭘 하려는 걸까요? 야외 샤워장이네요.
So this is a way to slow the water usage down. The hot water's coming out.
절약이 몸에 밴 데니스답네요.
And I'm going to cool it off a little bit. Very hot, too hot. Well, I've cooled it off a little bit now, but it's just about right.
해초는 야외 샤워장에도 쓰입니다. 해초가 썩으면서 열을 발생시켜 물을 데우는 퇴비 보일러인데요. 정말 작동이 됩니다.
Hey, here we are at the compost heated outdoor shower here, and this is the water heater. It's a compost pile. It's made out of wood chips, just about like that, and seaweed from the shore. We're looking at the dial here, and we have almost 150 degrees Fahrenheit. This is about as hot as this gets.
1년 중 호스텔로 운영하는 100일 동안 보통 400여 명이 방문하는데 모두 따뜻한 물로 샤워를 합니다. 놀랍게도 해초 퇴비 덕분에요.
Very often this compost is starts hot and then it goes down. So I'll have 140, 150 degrees for a few days. Then after, let's say a week, it will go down to about 120.
데니스가 농장 일을 끝낸 후 하는 샤워는 더 없는 행복이겠죠? 숲속의 야외 샤워장, 그것도 해처 더미로 데운 온수로 몸을 씻다니 사람이 꽃이나 나무가 되는 시간입니다.
Handsome guy.
Nice handsome guy.
화장실도 야외에 있습니다. 여긴 톱밥이 활용되는데요. 퇴비 처리 시설이 되어 있습니다.
With some sawdust. Some sawdust, and usually that's about enough to cover most things or absorb most things.
바로 이렇게 하면
This
되는데
is actually some
실수하면
shapes,
큰일이죠.
a little bit light. And some of the inspiration we got to do that was actually from a book, Farmers of 40 Centuries, and it described how Koreans used human ore in their agriculture. And that was, well, it was a little bit of a new concept over here, 25 years ago anyway.
퇴비를 만들어주는 야외 화장실이지만 뜻밖의 냄새가 전혀 나지 않는다고 하네요.
It's hard outside? Dark yellow or sale, then you get $3 each. Yes. Who have never experienced this before, and how do you react to this?
Yes, I certainly have. I've had a lot of people come out of here and say, that was not nearly as bad as I expected. And I have had some people come out and say, that's the nicest experience I've had going to the bathroom. I can open it and watch the birds while I'm doing my business. I think it's a lot more exciting.
Oh.
So I just took a little extra time to.
데니스의 집은 여름과 가을 100일 정도 손님을 받는데요. 미국은 물론 전 세계에서 찾아옵니다. 처음엔 4년간이나 손님이 없었죠.
I think Aurora's the one that will help me. We invited some friends and people in the neighborhood over to have dinner with us that night so we wouldn't be lonely. And we got sitting around the table. The food was served. Everybody was there and there was a knock on the door. I opened the door and a couple was standing there and they said, we heard this was a hostel, we're from Switzerland. Oh my God. Into the fact that they were the first guests and this was a very special moment, and I caught her with a tear in her eye. That was the best pay, I think, ever. She had a tear in her eye and I said, you know, what's going on? And she said, this place reminds me of a chalet in Switzerland that I spent time at as a kid often. My favorite place. I felt like we were on the right track for sure. Which I needed that moment bad.
옛날 방식의 농사법으로 먹거리를 얻고 오래된 도구들을 사용해 꾸려가는 생활답게 모든 것들이 천천히 이루어지나 봅니다. 텃밭만큼 중요한 곳, 닭장인데요. 역시 데니스가 닭들을 돌보기 위해 손수 만든 겁니다.
Woo! 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 Well, the chickens lay in one of these 4 boxes. We have about 12 chickens. We get about 12 eggs at this time. Yeah, you made the door small and the chickens have to duck and go through, but I think it keeps the fat raccoon out. What did it do?
닭들은 주로 방목하는데요. 먹이로 풀을 주는 것이 특이합니다.
There you go, they should come.
연하고 즙이 많을수록 더 좋아한다고 하네요.
It certainly is going to make the yolks much yellower, make the chickens more vibrant, really.
이번엔 매나 독수리를 쫓기 위해 알루미늄 판들을 매다는 작업입니다. 제법 효과가 있다네요. 늘 일이 많지만 데니스는 반드시 깊은 숲속으로 걸어 들어가 자연과 함께하는 혼자만의 시간을 갖습니다.
I do feel at home here because what happens is over time you get familiar with the things that are here. Only by experience can you function with nature as an ally. It's been suggested to me sometimes like, well, why don't we move to Arizona? You have allergies and it bothers you here. And it's like, well, it's because there's no trees there that I know. And there's no trees. There's nothing I'm familiar with. And you know, you see me, I'm familiar with the spruce trees and the clams and the deer.
사실 이 숲에 자신만의 집을 짓는다는 꿈은 아직 미완성입니다. (2007년부터) 본격적인 작업을 시작했지만 한 해 한 해 집은 꼭 필요한 공간만을 더해가며 변화했고 여전히 현재 진행형입니다. 특히 3층 다락방은 인턴 직원이 사용하는 공간을 제외하고는 마치 창고 같은 모습인데요. 시간과 돈이 허락할 때 조금씩 완성해가고 있습니다.
As if I finish it before I die, we'll know how long it took. But basically what it was is around 2007, the cellar hole was dug, like one room a winter. So there's basically 4 rooms in there, so basically 4 winters.
What time it's completed enough? No, before you had add-ons.
I think we have another couple of years.
하지만 데니스는 서두르지 않습니다. 사실 호스텔 말고도 오두막을 몇 개 더 지었는데요. 요즘 짓고 있는 건 야외 사우나입니다.
We're building a little log sauna here. It's pretty standard here. You see how many logs, that there's a door in front, that there's log purlins here, and you see the pegging pattern. So there's pegs holding the logs from twisting.
거의 수작업으로만 진행되다 보니 느리고 더딥니다.
Ever seen one of those? This is a tool from Norway, and it's a draw gouge. So it's for making that shape. And you just pull it. It's a very nice and easy tool to use. I'll show it on a board here just a little bit.
통나무집을 짓는데 반드시 필요한 것은 이끼입니다. 숲에서 구할 수 있죠.
And why are you collecting them?
The moss is good to put between the logs. Moss has the ability to absorb the condensation. The other principles are it doesn't get fungus. it won't get wet and rot away in the wall. It'll be good for hundreds of years in there. And it is the material that has been used in Northern Europe for thousands of years now.
통나무가 뒤틀리고 변형되는 걸 효과적으로 막아주는데 이 역시 17세기 뉴잉글랜드 선조들의 지혜입니다.
I suppose the interesting thing is that where you find this abundantly is in the spruce woods, and the spruce trees are what the log building's made out of. So they are together in nature and together in the building both.
숲속의 이끼는 집 한 채를 너끈히 지을 수 있을 만큼 많습니다. 언제나 풍요롭죠. 완벽한 집을 만들기에 완벽한 숲입니다. 통나무 하나하나 올릴 때마다 드는 이런 수고로움도 데니스에겐 기쁨이자 행복이겠죠.
I'd like to work on it again this winter. It takes about a day every log. And right now I'm about halfway up with 18 logs, so if I got 18 solid days of labor, the walls would be up, and then it would be time to make the roof. So it's a 2-3 month project right now, I'd say. Very long for a building this size.
데니스에게 집은 삶의 모든 것을 엮어내는 공간입니다. 일과 놀이, 사회생활, 그 모든 것인데요. 그래서 더 공부하고 경험하고 계속해서 확장해 나가는 겁니다. 이 숲에 들어온 지 17년. 앞으로 데니스의 삶은 어떻게 흘러갈까요?
I have to figure out who will take care of the place, how I'll take care of myself, who will take care of me, how will I work, how will I make the money. But I don't worry about that much. I picture myself being old and still doing this and enjoying the people. As an old man, I'm going to be on a bench by that door to the hostel. I'm going to tell stories. I'm going to have a long beard. I'm going to smile a lot. I'm going to have a good time. And I think I can do that until I'm ready to go pretty much.
홀로 또 누군가와 그는 스스로 시간의 흐름을 만들어가는 사람답게 숲에서 살아가고 있을 겁니다.
Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back your. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain. When I believed in forever and everything would stay the same.